judge me, 'cause I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. And please don't judge me if I'm not in church on Sunday.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh. I'm moving higher ground.
I'm moving on. Can nothing stop me now?
Yeah.
I'm pressing on
Higher ground.
to higher ground. Each step I take
Ooh.
is the new dawning of a brand new day
Higher ground.
for higher ground.
Obstacles and situations, people, places, and things I must overcome, 'cause there's a battle to be won. With my mind set on higher things, these things have become my footstool. I'm determined to reach my goal. I need peace for my soul.
I'm moving on.
That's why I'm moving on.
Can nothing stop me now?
Pressing on.
I'm pressing on
To higher
ground.
Each step I
Each
take,
step I take
oh, bring the dawning
is the new dawning of
for my higher
a brand
place,
new day
on my higher
for
ground.
higher ground.
I'm pressing on the upward way. Brand new heights I'm gaining every day. No higher place that I really have found. Lord, plant my feet
On higher ground.
forgetting what is already
Already
me.
behind me. Moving
Yeah, yeah.
for what's ahead.
I'm
moving on.
Wow.
Can nothing stop me now?
Nothing's gonna
I'm
stop me.
pressing on
Oh,
to higher ground.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Each
yeah.
step I take
Oh,
is the new dawning of
yes it is,
a
y'all.
brand new day
Yeah,
for
yeah.
higher ground.
The race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but it's to the one that endureth. But we gotta stay strong and fight on, yeah. Sometimes you feel like your foot might slip, 'cause there's too much going on. Just realize your goal is greater than your struggle. Just hold on and be strong.
Moving on.
I'm moving on.
Can nothing stop me now?
Nothing, no, 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 no.
I'm pressing on
Oh,
to higher ground.
oh, yeah, yeah,
Each
yeah.
step I take
Oh, it's the dawning of a new day.
is the new dawning of
Brand new day.
A brand new day.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
for higher ground. I'm moving on. Can nothing stop me now? I'm pressing on to higher ground. Each step I take is the new dawning of
no one was there. He picked me up and he carried me. I'm a witness.
I'm a witness
For Jesus,
nobody but Jesus.
when I was down and no one was there, he picked me up and he carried me.
It's March 1st, which marks the beginning of Women's History Month, a month-long celebration to honor women's often overlooked contributions to American history, like those of Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman to officially become a doctor in the United States in 1849. Sojourner Truth, Susan B. Anthony, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, all leaders in the women's suffrage movement. And Harriet Tubman, who led hundreds of enslaved people to freedom. But what's the history behind Women's History Month? It all began in 1978 with only a week-long celebration. It was organized by the Sonoma County Commission on Women. The week of March 8th was selected to correspond with International Women's Day, which had been celebrated around the world on March 8th since 1911. The movement began to gain momentum, and the following year, other communities and school districts initiated their own celebrations of Women's History Week. Then in 1980, the National Women's History Project lobbied for national recognition, and they were heard, because in February of that year, President Jimmy Carter issued the first proclamation, which declared the week of March 8th as National Women's History Week. 6 years later, the same organization petitioned for an expansion on the event, and in March of 1987, Congress passed Public Law 100-9, proclaiming March as Women's History Month. Now every March and all month long, we celebrate countless extraordinary women who've earned their place at the table. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Happy Monday to each of you, and welcome to our show, Perspective. This is season 1, episode 29, and we are excited and delighted to have each of you, our guests, joining us tonight. And tonight's topic is Keep Moving. And we chose that song by Missy Elliott and Friends during the countdown because I felt like that was a great way to segue into our conversation tonight. Well, I'm not going to delay the hour because our guest tonight, we have put together a Power Pack show for you. We were actually talking this morning, coming up with some last minute ideas tonight. So at this time, for those of you who saw our show in December, our guest was on and everybody was like, when are you going to bring Charmel back? Her name is Charmel Taylor. Charmel is her brand name. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm excited to have someone that I can call my friend and my sister, Charmel Taylor, tonight with Charmel, and we are bringing her in at this time. Hello.
Hey, how are you? Hi, everybody.
Great to have you back on again.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome, absolutely. And everyone, as we get started, you know the routine. If you would like and share tonight's video, I put it out 3 different ways for you to pick it up, and then Charmel has shared it as well. And then if you would also share and tag the video, real quick, let me do this. There are a lot of people already coming on. Hey, Mama, thanks for joining in. Rhonda Robertson, good to see you on. Erica Maynor, good evening. Eric Allen, hello. To my sister in Atlanta, Monica, good to see you on. And your mama's here. Hey, Mama, thank you for joining us. And I'm weak at this screen name, but Princess Zumunda.
That is my cousin. She comes packed. It's in the family. It runs in the family.
I love it. Keisha, hello to you.
That's my other sister, Keisha. Hey, everybody.
You, Wanda Jordan, hello to you. And a great friend to both of us, Angela Abdul Rashid. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, and typically we do that from time to time. Jamaica Bolton, thank you for joining us. And we do that time to time, but we always thank all of our guests for joining us who view the video about podcast because you don't have to do it. So let's jump right into it. So those of you who know, we started this month doing an icebreaker just to open the discussion, and this week is no different. So I was gonna go a different route, to be honest, but I've gotten a lot of requests and text messages asking me, was I going to discuss the incident with Kirk Franklin and his son? I did not give an answer. So let me say this. Y'all gonna discuss that tonight, but let me say the answer. One of the great things, and sometimes not so great things, about having your own platform, and I'm sure Rhonda is on, she can attest to this. My sister is on, she can attest to this, and my mom is on, and Angela is on. I'm sure they all would agree, and Charmel. You do get to spotlight great things that are happening in your community and in the world. And then sometimes you have to deal with things that you really, you kind of like want to brush off. But the flip side to that is that God has chosen you and called you for a reason to have a platform. And by you sharing things and your insight in a positive way, no, you can't change the world, but you may be able to give someone a new perspective and an outlook on things. So I do encourage those of you who have a platform. I salute you and I encourage you to keep doing just that. So let's have at it. And so to briefly give a recap, I'll make it short because like I said, it is public information, nothing that we're just making up. So not sure when the incident happened, but on Saturday, it was released that Kirk Franklin and his oldest son, Carry-On, for those who don't know, he and his wife, Tammy, both, they are a blended family. They did have children both when they got married. And so this is a son, if you've been following Kirk, he and this son have been estranged for some time now. And there was a phone call released between Kirk and his dad. But what was not said, the family psychiatrist was on the line. And so the son only got what Kirk said. He didn't get all of what he said. And so that's how we will recap that. Please don't ask me to send you the video. No, you will have to find that yourself. For those of you who know me, I'm not that person, but I did want to use this for our discussion topic. And for those who know me and know the show, it won't come off in a bashing tone because that's not me. That's my character. So if you're looking for that messy tea and feel to it, you got the wrong platform. I can tell you that right now. So what I would do, Charmel, I will allow you to give your take on it, and then I will give closing comments and bring a close to this week's discussion.
I just probably should open up with a cuss word, but I won't because Angela's on here, and I'm sure Angela's going to say, "Oh my!" I am, and my mom's on here, and so she's affectionately known as JD, and so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm a lover of Kurt, still a lover of Kurt. Will be. I think that for the naysayers and these Christians who have come in who are now evolved, who tend to forget their background. If you were born in the 70s, 60s, even 80 babies, you got some of your parents' mouth. Even, I only have one near and dear friend we've been together forever, and that's Angela, who's never used profanity. But outside of that, even a hell or a damn has happened. And at 33, I'm sure Mr. Franklin was taking well care of his son. So I'm not sure what transpired that made him go off, but truly you could detect in that. First, he's not a cursor because he didn't all flow right. See, old school mamas would have been able to get in there because I got a 23-year-old. I'm 165.6 and he's 235, 6'2". I can't use these, but I sure can use this. And there's power in their tongue. Right. So my point to that is things occur, things happen, because the truth of the matter is I have my sister who does not use profanity as well. They can cut you pretty deep without saying potty mouth words. So I think the pandemic has allowed us to be too intense with other people's things, and I think we ought to sip the tea and mind our business. And I hate that it got out like that, but I'm excited about the raves and reviews that he'll get, and everybody need to go out there and buy another CD again. Let's go ahead and pump it up. And let's make turn that thing positive.
Absolutely. And like I said, just to bring close on this, and first, I agree with everything that you said. And I want to pick it up from this angle. I'm 36 and my oldest sister is on. We did not, let me, and I want everybody to hear me clearly. We did not grow up in a household where profanity was used just like in conversation. We didn't grow up in that household. But as we grew older, even in our teenage years, and now even as an adult, if I hear my parents or my grandmother, because she did it a lot more than my parents, if she used those words towards you, if your feelings were hurt for a moment, for me, it always made me say, okay, now I never heard mom and dad talk like that. I need to examine some things within me and see what would push them to that point. So you need to do self-examination on yourself. And then let me say this. No, I don't have any I don't have any birth children. And so for you to say he shouldn't talk about that, get you some business. I've been blessed to have a village outside of my niece and nephew, who are great adults doing their own thing. And so what I will say to this is, before you pass judgment on this, none of us have a place or heaven or hell to put Kirk in. And before I continue with my segments, I do want to salute Birmingham's own comedian Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey for that, how they have publicly spoken out and supported Kirk. You can find those videos. Ricky and Steve, their delivery and their response is a lot different than this will be, but they can relate because they all have raised children and they all have had a chance in raising children. And so this is what I will say to the church and those that are in the church. You self-righteous people, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. We forget. We all have a past. No, you may not use profanity, but you've done other things. And you have to let God judge. That's my thing. And just because this has come out with Kirk Franklin, that's not going to stop God's oil from being over his life. That's what we don't understand. So for those of us who think about you're counseling him, you're not God. And let me put it this way. Just think of some of the things that you've done. If they were leaked, how would you feel if your mess and your garbage was released? And Kirk Franklin apologized. Some have said he didn't need to. That's your preference. But he did. And so we just have to be careful. So what I would ask to end this is pray for him and his son. If we did more praying instead of judging, not just in this situation, our world would be such a better place. So again, pray for him, pray for them both and not judge. And then pray for the family as well. That includes Tammy, that includes all of their children, and that includes Carry-On's mom, because now that this has happened, this is forcing the entire family to come together to deal with it. So again, pray for them. And again, for the church people, it's time out for the self-righteousness, because this is why people, they are leaving the church, and this is why people don't come to the church. And to close with this, not just in the gospel world, but we've seen in recent years a lot of things in families on R&B and music be unfolded like this. So this should show us that before they have the Grammys, the Stellars, the Dove Awards, they're people first. So you never want to idolize a person so much until when this does happen, it kind of causes you to say things. So again, to wrap up, and I will say this publicly, and I hope he sees the video. Kirk Franklin has my support. I met the Kirk Franklin because before he was the world's Kirk Franklin. Those of you who own, you may remember this, in 1990, he was a director at the Church Music Workshop, which was local here in Birmingham. He was short, he had a jerry curl, and he was then the director for the Dallas Fort Worth Mass Choir and Ruby Terry's assistant. So that's just greatness on him. So that's how we wanted to do that discussion board. So we won't deal with those kind of topics each week for our discussion board, but I did want to do that tonight because that is what a lot of you requested and you wanted to know if I would. So having said that, that has been your discussion board for your discussion conversation for the week. And now, so let's get into our dialogue tonight with Charmel. So to get us started, for people who are watching tonight and who may not be familiar with you, before we dive into Charmel's, because we're definitely going to talk about that, in your own words, who is Charmel Taylor?
There's so many facets of this woman, and yet still evolving. She's loving, caring. And I used to always say when someone asked me that question, she's Christian's mom. She's the boy's mom. And now I've added on to, I'm Carson's and Austin's aunt, however you want to pronounce it, tomato. But evolving. In this season, coming out of a 2020 had major jokes for Charmel. I am wearing a cape, wearing a cape and carrying Kleenex. I'm a strong person who has seen other facets of. I can't. I don't like. I know, right? Mom's popping up. So, guys, I'm laughing for those who don't see. She's like, ask her mama. Um, Full of life, full of love, taking everything in stride and learning to just see the end of the rainbow and everything. I've grown a lot. I'll be 50 this year in July. And so there are a lot of things, but most of all, I think that I am a grateful, humble woman. That's who Charmel is this season. Stay tuned. There's more to come, though.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, as
Thank you.
you can post comments and questions. We will get them up during the show.
Yeah, you can ask questions. I'm here for it. I am here for those questions you've been wanting to ask and scared to ask. I promise you tonight, this girl, Honey Hush, shall speak.
And as always, if we don't get your question answered during the show, I always allow my guests to go back after the show and answer any questions that we missed or overlooked. Okay, so our next question, as we think about Charmel's, when did you develop a love and passion for cooking and food?
I think it's always been in me. Our family is very family oriented. So we, like on a Tuesday, we eat together. Like right now, I am literally at my sister's house because that's just what we do. That's just who we are. And so I said, I'm coming over to do the podcast. And she's like, it's funny because this is a switch. She's in the background cooking. I'm like, yes, I need some of that. I said, what you cooking, girl? And it's so funny because I'm on the podcast and I'm thinking, oh, I can help her cook. And I'm thinking, oh, I got a podcast. I can do that. And so we are definitely together. But just to kind of say how Charmel's evolved, my grandmother, who I am actually named after, she's Charlie Mae. I'm Charmel. And so she would cook. And I am a foodie, always have been, probably always will be. And she said, Charmel, come on here and learn how to cook this. And when you're young, you're like, I don't want to do that. I want to watch BET. I want to watch video raps. I grew up in that era. So I'm trying to get down with Missy and all them old school people and Salt and Pepper trying to cut my hair secretly in the bathroom. And so I just kind of, what she didn't know was, my mom is so crazy, y'all. She just texts me. I love that lady. So to say how it developed was I was always peeping. And so the tragic death of my grandma kind of took a dive. Like I said, we're very family oriented. So her absence drove me to find that thing that would continuously connect us. And just one day out of nowhere, I cook. I don't even remember. I've tried to go back and think about it like hard when it happened, how it transpired, and I cannot do that. She used to make this buttermilk pudding, and nobody would eat it but me. And so that was our special thing. And I love rice, like butter rice. And my grandma would make it, and I would say, Grandma, I love when you make it mushy, sticky. She's like, Charmel, that's not a compliment. You don't tell people they have mushy, sticky rice. And I thought, you always make butter sticky rice. I didn't know it was another way to make it. And so, and then my uncle would always make jokes, and they would get their rice out of the pot, and he would put the pot in front of me and say, here's your portion. And so just the love and missing her really stirred up the pots. And so here we are, Charmel's going strong. Charmel's is taking some other avenues, which we'll dive into as the questions are coming, and ask. Got some great things coming for Charmel's.
Okay. So for people who are not familiar with Charmel's, briefly tell us when Charmel's was founded, how Charmel's work, and what people can expect when they patronize Charmel's.
Oh, great. So Charmel's, again, everything about Charmel's and about my life has always been stumbled upon. Even the blessings, it's just always a great thing. I've really learned that life is hilarious. And so I laugh a lot. it all generated from a family friend who needed meals for his mom. They were really, really busy, active lifestyles, but they needed to care for their mom. And so we would post and we talk about food all the time. And so he consults with my sister. He said, would you think your sister will be offended if I ask her to cook some of her meals because they look so good? And she said, no, she ain't gonna be offended. Matter of fact, what you want? Hence my sister going ahead and sealing that deal. So I said, well, sure, I would. Oh, thank you. So I would cook. And then so I dropped the food off and they were like, okay, so what's the price? And I was like, totally embarrassed by it because I cook out of love. And I was like, there's no price. No. And so that was the start of it. They would order every week. And so they was like, look, you gotta give us a ticket, an invoice. And so I called in my team of people who are now my marketing team and my sister who I, always consult with. I said, I need y'all to put a price on cabbage. Basically. And so I said, I'm getting orders in and people are asking me to cook. What do I do? They was like, stay in the kitchen and we'll handle the rest.
Absolutely.
And so that was the birth of Charmel. So what you get from Charmel's, and I tell people all the time, I am that girl who appreciates the business, but I love being in the kitchen. So I have a great team, a great village that surrounds me to make sure all the other stuff works. And so they give me the menu. I make it. Whatever the menu is, I'm always surprised too. I'm into surprises. And so Charmel's, you are going to get Southern cuisine, but with a gourmet kick. A lot of my grandmother's secrets, a lot of my mom's secrets, some things I've stumbled upon that were, funny jokes that my son is, I think I pushed him into it. So he's gotten some great things. So a lot of our meals, a lot of our casseroles are comfort foods. You'll get those, but also, Charmel does catering for a lot of local companies around the Birmingham area and surrounding areas. So, and I know those are on here. I know they're about to say it. When is the shipping coming? Guys, I promise you it's coming. It's just not as easy as we thought it would be. And it's more challenging to make sure those meals go out the way that I'm comfortable with them being mailed out and when you open that box. So we've done some trial runs and they're just not Charmel's. And so I'm going to get it together and they're coming.
Awesome. So for people that are on, while you can specialize in meat and three, and you do from time to time, kind of talk about why you wanted to make sure that you offered more than the standard meat and three.
You can get that on every corner. And we're from the South, so of course we love our collards and pork chops, pork, beef, chicken, whatever, macaroni, cheese, cornbread, the typical holiday soul food type, cooking. But the twist to that is myself, I was a diabetic probably about, I can always forget the count of the years, a while back, and I had to do something different because I was going to be put on an insulin pump. I just had to be a Christian, and then bittersweet, and I know we'll dive into this later, but my husband, who's no longer with us, James, was a diabetic and had some other comorbidities. And so it pushed me and drove me into how can we eat the food we love, but yet still make it healthy? And how do you give that type of cuisine and introduce it to other people who are questioning about our heritage and just don't know the whole background of it? It's funny now, you can go to some fine dining restaurants and chitterlings are literally on the menu for like $50. Mm-hmm. Wow. And they're fried chitterlings. Or you can get, your braised collards. Braised, really? Oh, okay. So how do you, yeah. Or you get your smothered chops with, whatever they label. And we're thinking, that's smothered pork chops. We make them all the time. Or your salmon croquette, which is salmon patties and rice, buttered rice at that. Right. And so I just wanted to put a spin on that and reintroduce those things that you can make them healthy. You can still eat them in moderation and they can still taste really, really good. And I got a lot of people just kind of not going deep into the religious side, but we have a lot of people who fast and you still need that cuisine. So we just wanted to be making sure that we're there. I consider myself a personal chef at this point. Like I said, Charmel's took a turn. And so I get these emails and say, well, I saw what was on the menu, but I I got a list I want you to do. And so now we literally do that. But can you cook it healthy? And it's so funny because I think you and I have talked about this off the pod, about how you get these things that people want, like you want fried chicken, you want some pork chops, and you want all this stuff. And how do you cook your collards? What are you cooking them with? Because I like hog maws, or I like smoked, whatever turkey, whatever, or not turkey, or can we get bacon on that burger, So I've learned to do that with a twist and make it healthy.
I tell you, that's why I know you are my sister from another mister, because that's actually the conversation that I was getting ready to dive into. So, and we talked about this when we had you on for the first time, but we must talk about it again. So, it's no secret that everybody over the, like you said earlier, the people that are on the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, if you grew up in that era, um, fight me for it. Y'all knew a parent. You don't cook. You don't cook. You don't cook. You don't cook. Because those frozen dinners, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But if you grew up around a big mama, a grandmother, their food was great. Let me say that again. Their food was great. Now, was it the healthiest? Absolutely not. But during those times, we weren't thinking about healthy choices. We were just glad to get those collard greens, that
Yeah.
macaroni and cheese, that potato salad, those candy yams, those purple hub peas, that squash casserole, fried
You gonna
chicken.
make me start cooking now?
Right. And so many other things I can name. Oh, we can't leave out the turkey and dressing because that's my mom's staple.
Yeah.
And so many other things. But at the same time, we didn't think about how they were cooking it. And so, and if you eat this food every day, this is not a platform to tell you to stop eating that. But what we do want to say is consider making healthy choices. And like I always say, I've said it on this show several times, you should eat in moderation. I know sometimes there are just times you have to have that fried chicken, you have to have that pork chop, but that is something when you really love yourself and you are concerned about your health, that is something that should not be a part of your routine. And that's not anything that we're making up. If you talk to your doctor or any nutritionist, they will tell you those things. And so when we think about how those foods were prepared, those collard greens were good. They had the bacon grease in it, which it gives best flavor. Let's just be honest here. You would find ham hocks in there. You would find pork tails, pork shoulder, pork jaws, and a lot of this stuff I don't even eat, but I just know it from other people.
Yeah.
You would find I'm probably missing something, but and I
Hog
know,
maws.
yeah, hog mugs. And I know one lady in particular, she would do hog mugs, pig feet, pigtails, and ham hocks in her green. It's a lot of stuff going on. Probably tastes good, but that's a lot of stuff going on. And then when we talk about the seasonings, they were not exposed to a lot of the herbs and spices
Yeah.
that we have then. They weren't. And so that's not knocking any generation, because I was blessed to say that my great grandmother, both of my great grandmothers, um, one lived until she was 85, the other lived until she was 95. And then my grandmother on my dad's side, she lived until she was 86. So that shows you that longevity was in it. And a lot of that was from the foods that they ate. Were they all healthy? Because I saw what they ate. And as they got older, I cooked it for them, because you just spoil your grandparents while you have them. They were not always healthy, but they seasoned their food the best they knew how. So what we're saying is, because this is 2021, and because Alabama is one of the most unhealthiest states in America, y'all, it's time to do things different. Get in that kitchen and experiment with different seasonings. But all that salt is not good for you. And then when you buy, first of all, we have to use more fresh vegetables and fruits, more fresh vegetables and fruits. I know that we're a society, yeah, Glories and Margaret Holmes, it's a quick fix, but I'm not going to even say how much sodium can be in those things. But what I will say is start reading your labels, because if you read those things, even with the frozen dinners like we were talking about earlier, it would really surprise you. And consuming these things on a regular basis, it can add to blood pressure problems, cholesterol problems, diabetes, weight gain, which could bring on other things. So this is not an attack on anyone on the live, because every day I'm striving to eat better. And I'm sure Charmel has that same testimony. But when you know better, you should do better. So that's what we're preaching at. So Charmel, tell us some of those herbs and spices and seasonings that we can cook with, and it still doesn't take the essence away from enjoying those meats and vegetables and those dishes that we love to eat.
So definitely, and let's just go back. And you said something that struck a chord. And I just doing my homework and cooking homework. You said, back then they used all those additives, they used all those unhealthy meats, and they were able to still live long lives. Well, what we don't factor in today's time is the reason that was probably a less issue with that is because things were grown different.
Mhm.
Like today, now you have all these pesticides, and you mix that with this and that and that and this, it forms and develops something that is not healthy for our bodies, or was even designed to ingest. And so
Absolutely.
that's the issue. Those things probably at one time, you're talking about those meats that they were using, those animals, yeah, those animals were reared different, or they grew them differently, or grown them, whatever the word is, on the farm, and they ate differently. Now everything is so masked; it has to be a quick fix. Chicken itself is you cringe at, is this chicken good? Is what is really organic? You look at a chicken leg and you're like, is this a leg, or you can't even tell what it is sometimes. And so when you get those type of meats that are now, it's just unfortunate that they've pumped them up and injected them with stuff that we don't not even aware of. And then you add on these additives such as salt and, all these seasonings that taste good. What the challenge and the problem has occurred is you've mixed those two together, and it's more difficult to get them balanced out. So you're right. With Charmels, and I will say, and my son makes sure of it, even if I try to sneak salt in, it does not work. We only use, and it's very sparingly, Himalayan salt. And so that's your pink salt for those who may not know it. And of course, I will tell you some things, but you're going to pay the cost. It's sort of like the candy now or later. Either you're going to pay the cost to eat healthier and it lasts longer, or you're going to pay the cost in your health and your deductibles from having to go to the hospital, because now you have high blood pressure, diabetes, and whatever else ailments that attaches itself to that. So I will say this: Charmel is into using blended herbs, which they can be, if you find them, and because they last longer too. We're into this. We're starting something new this season. We're into growing them, and so that's really a joke, because I do not have green thumbs, and so I've got my neighbor involved. So if they're on here, thanks. They're kind of helping me with the herbs. But you can get those at, and this is not me advertising for them, but like Aldi's. A lot of people kind of shun on Aldi's because they don't know the history of these places, but they are German, and so the packaging looks different. It's not so familiar with us, but a
Absolutely.
lot of their things are quality, like top quality. And
Absolutely.
so you want to get the Himalayan salt. You want to do, and this is a good way to do it if it's like getting seasons 101 or remedial classes. Get the ones that say no salt added,
Right.
and that helps. So that means if you want to take all that garlic and darn near pour it in there, go ahead. Have at it.
Right.
If you want to get onion powder, not onion salt, and
Mhm.
it makes a difference. Read your labels. I saw somebody on here, I think it was Trail, that said, "I am a label reader," and even with that, you still have to be extra cautious, because there's leeway from them what they put on there that far as marketing is concerned, that they can get away with not disclosing.
Right.
So it's always still great to get those herbs, even if you have to. And see, this is the thing. We're so used to doing massive that we don't realize when you buy herbs, it doesn't take as much. So they come small packaging, but it doesn't take all of it.
Absolutely.
Trust me, I've learned by trial and error. When you throw 2 stems or 4 stems at a time in something, you've totally messed it up. You didn't need that much. One stem will probably do the trick. So those are the herbs that we use. Like I said, Himalayan salt only. Um, Now I will say I don't, and I'm not even quite sure what's in. I said I was going to do my homework. I am guilty. If you eat Charmels, you're eating adobo. I think all of us probably just say yes.
It is the
So we sprinkle that. We sprinkle adobo, but we're, you know, oh yeah. Read those labels. It's very important. And there's so much now. It behooves you to Google. I mean, I don't know why you won't Google. Especially when I'm cooking for Charmel's, I'm definitely in there and I am Googling because I don't want to feed my clients just anything. And even with the things, what tickles me, like of course, Charmel's offers meal prep. And so I will get those emails and say, can I just have your casseroles? I just want your lasagna, or I need your Alfredo. And I go, you no need to fret. You don't even have to whisper it because Charmel's has a healthy version of that. Some people, I mean, if you size 6 and you're healthy and you want full throttle comfort casseroles, then have at it. But I have those who need, a different kind of noodle or vegan lasagna or vegan Alfredo. We offer that. Like I tell people all the time, take the mystery out of it. Let me cook for you and teach you some things. That's kind of the avenue that Charmel's is going into as it relates to meals. Now, not only are we offering our meals, but we're giving the tidbits to go with it so that you can do this continuously at home. My cousin who was on here, she inboxed me the other night. She saw the picture of the Kaneka. I think it was the Kaneka and something potatoes. And she says, okay, I can't get that, but I'm going to make my version. I want you to see it. So here we are. And I was like, I'm still in that. Hers was more healthier than mine. She had red peppers, cauliflower, and broccoli. I was like, yeah, I got to put that on. So, it's just all about healthy, 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 and herbs. Herbs will do the trick, I promise.
Absolutely. And for those who are on tonight, and if you are a person, I know Angela has, we talk about them all the time, but if you're a person, you've had meals that Charmel provides through Charmel's, please post your favorite meals. And as a fun way to end the night, we will take the last 5 to 10 minutes talking about those meals. So you can go ahead and start posting them now, and we'll get those up. And then I want to talk about how, and this is something, it just cringes me when I hear this. I try to do shortcuts with my food because all that stuff been in the kitchen all that time. Ma'am, sir, is your shortcut healthy? You have to think about all that. Is your shortcut healthy? And a lot of my family and friends that know this, when you get that famous chicken fettuccine casserole that you like, you're actually eating homemade Alfredo sauce because it's healthier and it doesn't have all those preservatives in it and those other unhealthy things. So, and you would be surprised if you pulled up like a recipe for mayonnaise, ranch dressing, a lot of those other things that you love. It is not as hard to make as you think. So I
Yeah,
would encourage
exactly.
all of you to be creative in that thing. But yeah, it's just about changing your mindset. And like we said earlier, when you know better, you should do better. You should not wait. And again, let me say this: you should not wait until your body still starts feeling a type of way to make those necessary changes. When you love yourself, you're going to be good to yourself. And we often think about that in one area, but that involves your health, your mind, and your spiritual side. So again, I'm going to say that when you love yourself, you're going to be good to yourself. So let's make those necessary changes that we need. So now that we've talked about Charmele's, and we're definitely coming back to that in a moment, um, you are a strong woman of faith, and you've endured some things. As the phrase says, you don't look like what you've been through. You definitely don't look like what you've been through. And God is a keeper and he's a sustainer. So you mentioned the transition of your husband on last year, and you had another person special to you to transition at the beginning of this year. So what I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to allow you to share both of those experiences in your own way, and you can kind of talk about how those moments, the space that you're in now, and what are you doing to keep their memories and legacy alive.
Yeah, Thank you. For those who have not was not with us with the first podcast and may not be aware, my husband James passed in Ju- July, June. I'm thinking about his birthday. Goodness, um, it's just all still crumbled together. And so most people who have watched me, I've received numerous inboxes. So I hope people tag and share this video because they have been millions of questions. How are you doing it? What are you doing? How many milligrams or whatever are you on? And you're still cooking like the day when James passed, I was cooking like the Tuesday after. I had an order; it had to be fulfilled, and everybody was in the kitchen like, "How are you doing this?" And they just were watching, and they were waiting, and it was very difficult. I will tell you as I speak. So missing him, and then trying to get over that, and that was a hardship in itself. Simply because there were some things going on, everything, not to disclose everything, but all people all still in the background trying to figure it all out. Um, it was a very difficult death, and missing him and realizing some things and just going through the motions. Still in my full-time job, it was COVID, and then trying to do Charmel's because people were being nice, but they were inboxing me and saying, "Hey, is Charmel's going to open back up?" I mean, the pressure of this is my baby. My husband's died in the midst of me getting it started. A lot of things of him being in the kitchen late at night with me, tasting things, and just being there. I lost it, and I smiled through it, and I was like, okay, who's going to taste the food? Who's going to tell me, no, you can't do this, or that's too much, that's not enough, or it was overwhelming. And I smiled and I grinned, and I was just bearing it, and because I didn't want the people to see. James was a happy person, but he was ill. Even trying to develop healthy meals, get him back on the right track, because a lot of people are always asking. So here's one of the questions: was it COVID? No, there were some other things that was wrong with. He had ailments, and so his health ailments, and so that's kind of what took him away to be with the Lord. And so just trying to, out of nowhere, that was like, we were on the right track. We were starting right, and still here you are, the death. And so it was overwhelming. And I'll share that now because I've been a big girl for a very long time. I've been a big girl since June 14th, 2020. And so, yeah, I faked it the whole time. And so I got in the kitchen and I would cook and I would cook and I would cook. And I thought, I told my sister, I literally broke down and said, my grandmother, who was near and dear to me, the reason Charmel's was developed, I was still dealing with her death years later, and not subconsciously, not even realizing it, cooking Charmel's out of her pots. My orders had gotten so big, but I was still cooking out of little pots. And even now I still cook out of her pots. I've grown up. I got some commercial pots, and I go to the commercial building to cook, but it's still, I have to have those pots. And so now, with the passing of James and just being in there and really just cooking, I would cook myself like into overdrive late at night, cooking, thinking about it, or because I wouldn't eat, and that was my escape. I just could not figure it out. And those deaths were so tragic. My grandmother, I was in Atlanta when it actually transpired, living a life, and just never thinking not having her because I was young, and then newly getting married, and us being together. You never think your husband's gonna die, and here you are. I just put the wedding dress up. Literally, I was like, I'm gonna wear my wedding dress for Halloween. I'm gonna see if I can get it. That was a running joke. He was like, yeah, I can see you now. What are you gonna be, a princess? I was like, yeah. He said, you'll always be my princess. Just all those little things. So anyway, February of this year, very disheartening. My phone rings at 5 a.m. in the morning. And so I always do morning prayers. And I knew when I looked at it, I knew the call. I said, nope, I won't answer that.
Wow.
I already knew.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what, Lord, this is where you and I are going to have a little coming up a moment. And so they called back. I would not answer. I was not going to answer that. But because my my father, who lived in Georgia, because we're originally from Georgia. Most people don't realize that because we've been here since I was 10 years old. He had picked up calling, but I didn't think anything about it. That's kind of when they get older, you get older. We talked every day, like literally every day. And so he'd be like, is this your target run with Carson? Because he called me on Friday. Or he would play this game of like something was wrong. And then be like, I just called to you. I love you. Like, you've made me panic and come out of a meeting to tell me that. He was like, yeah. And so we had all these things that were happening and I was so excited about. And then when the phone rang to tell me that he had passed, I had literally just talked to him. We had just talked about me coming to Savannah for the summer, what we were going to do with the kids. I was like, really, God? This is what you do? So all the men were gone, and so I'm like, okay, you finally give me something and you take it away. Wow. Because I didn't grow up with my dad. So we had started to develop that, daughter, daddy thing. And I'm so glad that he was there for my wedding. And I remember when, so sweet to TK Masoro, who sent me pictures, hidden pictures that I didn't even know she had taken. Because everybody knows I love candid shots of myself. Go figure. And so she starts flooding my sister with pictures. And my sister starts sending me pictures. And I literally thought, every moment because we were on the dance floor, and I was like, why do you like that song? It was his favorite song. Why, I couldn't think. We were laughing and joking. And he was like, I'm not really going to give you the James. And I was like, you got to give me the James. I said, that means I won't be in your pocket. We were making these whole jokes and everything. And so to find out that he had passed, I'm wearing his hat tonight. I think I look kind of cute.
Awesome. I love it. I love it.
He is definitely with me. It was just overwhelming because he would call about the meals. He would sing songs. And so all these holidays are now coming up. Can you imagine losing your husband and then losing your father and all these little quirky jokes that you have intimate with both of them that you're going to have to go through? What do you do with that? I just knew to keep going because I had to be there for everybody else. I'm the intercessor. I do morning prayers. And yes, people who are on the line, we're going to talk about that one snippet. I'm just going to say this. The memoir's coming. The prayer book's coming.
Yeah, I told her that was not optional. We had to make that happen. So, yeah.
It's happening. Yeah. And so I will tell you, with all the glitz and glamour and me trying to do my own makeup and having on lipstick, I am grieving. So for those who want to know, how does Charmel do it? How does she do it every day? I literally get in the car after I've done these prayers because I'm up at 3 asking God, what does he want me to say to the people? And I argue with him. And I say, you give me all this great wisdom to give these people, and they love it. They're inboxing me and they're being saved, and you've taken everything. I literally said that to him because that's the way I feel. Wow. I was angry. I said, you give me something and take it away, but then you want me to give them stuff and they have it and I don't. So now I am in a healthy grieving process, and some great things I know will be birthed out of it. I've had a great support system, even when they know that I don't disclose as much as and they know me. If I'm cracking a lot of jokes, that means I'm hurting the most. Or if you eat my food and it just tastes like manna from heaven, it's probably because I was grieving heavily. So my dad is very well missed. There's probably not a day that that goes by that I don't think about James and his jokes. I don't post a lot, and people probably, and some have asked, why don't you post? Why don't you do this big commemoration? And, and I tell people all the time, it's sort of like there's a Band-Aid right now on a cut open wound. And so I don't know what you all want me to celebrate. It's a process. And I'm not going to keep ripping a Band-Aid off. I'm moving forward, and I think about him every day. I do the crazy things that you see on Lifetimes. I sniff clothes and sweaters. I move forward. Even my dad's hat. It's the little things that people don't see. So all those, my tribe, my village, that really know who have allowed me the time to just kind of fake the funk per se, and get myself back together and repent and tell God I'm sorry. I know that you don't do anything without covering me, and I know that you've been walking with me. It's just, it's still the grieving, healthy grieving process has begun. So I miss them immensely. I love them, um, but it gets better. I know that
Absolutely.
it's getting better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And first, before I continue, let me commend you for your transparency, your openness. And as people who've watched this show for any amount of time, we always say it is okay not to be okay. I'll say that
Yeah.
again. It is okay not to be okay. I think for so long, our society, the black race, and it's not just women, men as well, we feel like that once we go through things in life, we have to be these strong, courageous supermen and superwomen. But it's okay to go through moments where it's like, ooh, I don't know. And that doesn't make you any less of a woman. That doesn't make you any less of a person. Because what God sees is that this is my daughter. She's being transparent. And so in those transparent moments, that's when she's allowing me to come in and do what I need to do. And that's the kind of loving God that we serve.
Yes,
So
definitely.
my next question to you before we get to our discussion question, um, you mentioned something, and it is actually the title to Angela Abdul Rashid's book, Life After. Can you talk about life after with everything that you've gone through? Because I know there may be some things that you've gone through that time would not allow us to permit to talk about tonight. But kind of talk about life after for Charmel Taylor.
So life after, I have a heart of expectation now. Like I said, I was angry with God, and people don't know it's okay. It's okay to be angry. Just don't stay there and repent. And so the relationship is different. I can hear differently now, and I'm going into being 50. And so I have a high level of expectation of some great and wonderful things that are coming. I had slowed down the track of saying, I'm just going to let Charmele's go. I'm just not going to deal with it. And so here's what is happening after. The memoir is coming. People who are on Facebook, and it's so funny, those who don't know me and they see these prayers and they go, you're just going to be okay. I'm saying all these prayers aren't for me. It's me literally listening for being an intercessor. I am an intercessor at heart. I literally wake up and people want to know, how does it work? I literally wake up at 3 a.m. I say, what do you want the people to know? I get myself transitioned to here and my fingers go to work. And it was funny. My sister and I, when we went to my dad's homegoing and I was asleep, and my sister rolls over and she says in the hotel room, she says, you ain't up, it's 3. I was like, well, I was trying not to do that because we're all in this whole room together. She was like, no, honey, go ahead and do what you do. We want to see what it looked like. I was like, sometimes it's prostrate, sometimes it lasts long. So yeah, it's sometimes it's an ugly cry depending on what's in my heart and the text that I've gotten. So anyway, long story short, I am going to publish a prayer memoir. So that was a hint. Paul, is Angela still on here?
She is. She is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and can I let this cat out the bed? I'm gonna say it. We both said
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Angela, we got a secret for you. We both kind of like voluntold you. Notice I didn't say volunteer. We kind of like voluntold you to help bring this book to life because you're so good at what you do. Amen. Praise God. We'll be having that
Oh,
conversation.
I receive that. I receive that. You saw how that worked. You see how the God is working on me for
Right,
me. You see
right.
how He did that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Suddenly. You see, she is not tight. We are in trouble. I'm
Absolutely.
I'm, I'm gonna cook her favorite. I know what
Yeah.
her favorite is. I got us. So even outside of the book, that is really truly coming. Let
There
me go
it is.
into
A done deal.
um, let me go into what Charmele's is doing. If you're on the website, please share the website. There still are weekly meals, but Charmele's is going to another level. Just because I am all about 50 fabulous, happy, focused, free. I mean, literally free. I know what that word means now, and so we're going to be doing some things where I'm going to be giving it off. a lot of times, and if you know me, I hoard things. I'm a nurturer, so I want to do it all, and I can't do it all. I can't do that all and heal myself. So now Charmel's is taking another dive and going to another level. We'll be teaching. Yeah, Chef Char is going to be doing things for toddlers and birthday parties because the pandemic, we're still cozy and comfortable. But all those single women out there, all those women who can't quite figure out, because I'm glad that you opened it up for me, who don't know how to cook healthy, who don't know how to buy those herbs, guess what? Charmel's is coming to your house. Full throttle. You and I, 2 and 2, masked up. I'm going to teach you the secrets. Well, the ones my grandma will allow me to give. So it'll be honey hush, but you will know how to do those things. So those are coming. We're doing the cooking. We're cooking school all together. We'll still offer the meals for those who want to use me as a personal chef. That one, somebody's already ready. The book, it's coming. Paul's going to make that happen real quick.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Charmel's going to another level.
Absolutely. And so this was one question that just came to me, and you must answer before we prepare to close.
Okay.
What would you say to any business woman, male or female, who has had their business? It could have just started last year, or they've had it for a number of years. What would you say to them when their business may come to a point, and again, this is for men and women, when they have to rebrand their business or rebuild it? What advice would you give to them to let them know that it's okay? And when they do have moments where they have to rebrand or rebuild, they shouldn't feel like a failure.
Definitely. And here's one more transparent note. I know we're running out of time, but doing Charmel's on the level of just doing weekly meals, as much as my food tastes good, it's just like anything else. How many times are you going to go to, McDonald's or Popeyes or wherever you go? Even if it's your favorite, it plays out. And so what do you do? And I don't even necessarily think it's rebranding. I think, and I always think this about myself, and it's the way you think. I always see that glass always full and filled. And if it's not filled, it's because I'm sipping off of life, because it's that great. Always know and be open to avenues to take you to another level. Like with Charmel's and the cooking, people want that, and they were pushing me to do that. And so you cannot be afraid to give the supply and demand of what people want, because it doesn't take away from Charmel's. That means it's going to free me up. I get to give you what I want, what you need and want, and I'm still doing and fulfilling the purpose and passion that I have. And rebranding sometimes is necessary, because you don't realize you probably weren't quite as branded as where God probably wants you to be. And I've learned that. I thought I was great with that pink and yellow color and honey hush, but we're gonna really, hey, honey hush, she's speaking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and then one other question, then we're going to get into our discussion question that we do weekly related to our topic. So with this being Women's History Month, and again, I failed to do this at the beginning, let me salute, as I've been doing every Monday in the month of March. Let me salute all of our ladies that are on, regardless if you have your own business or not. You have done something in the course of your life to contribute to society. We salute you, whether it be in the church, in the home, in the community, whatever. You've done something, and we salute you, as this is Women's History Month. What would you say, because and that was one of the reasons I wanted to show that video at the beginning, to show the factual information that Women's History Month was not just something that a group of us had said, hey, let's just celebrate Women's History Month, but it has been celebrated for years. We know women are still facing a number of issues today. Equal pay in the workplace is still a thing that some women are struggling with. Even in positions in the church, in corporate America, some women are still having to fight. And it's in all sectors. What would you say to that woman that's on to encourage them to keep holding on and to keep moving?
And it's so important. And even being in my secular job, working for the federal government, and being the first African American in my title, after that seat has been held so long. And if you know anything about, the VA, we deal with a lot of organizations who are old school, and you have those um, veteran service organizations that are preferably old school. So when I knock on the door and I'm going out doing what I do with them, it's a shocker. But what you do and what I've always done is I always seem to make sure that you just educate along the way and know that create your own atmosphere. Like just find what your knack and what your niche is. Sometimes, you keep trying to build you, and I didn't understand this either. Being a trailblazer is scary or challenging, but sometimes it's necessary. You can't always follow the crowd and to expect to have these big accomplishments. If you look at the history of all the women who have, gone before us, they did something different. And it wasn't even if it looked like they failed, look what we've gained from it now. We're like riding the shoulders and coattails of these women who possibly thought a lot of times or did not actually get to see the fruit, the highest level fruit of their labors. So don't discourage and get. And one thing I do, because I don't know it all, I center myself around people who know how to make it come together. Charmel's, I don't know the business part of it. I'm going to learn it. But you know what I do know? I know how to make healthy food. I know how to stay in the kitchen, and I know a whisk from a spatula. But if you want me to do something outside of that with numbers and advertising and marketing, I didn't. Hey, we laughed about it the other day. I did not know that nobody has business cards anymore. That it's e-cards. You weren't supposed to laugh. We're family. So
All
I can
good.
see right on there laugh, and I hear y'all. I didn't know. You just don't know.
Right.
So don't be opposed to center yourself around someone where you can start being transparent and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. How do you do this? Yeah. Yeah. Look, my coworker is on here and she's laughing at me because she's helped me a lot with the new stuff.
Absolutely.
But I keep her fed. See, it's an even trade off. She keeps me up on that level and I keep her fed healthy.
Absolutely. And as we prepare for our discussion question, I want to encourage all of our business that's on, don't get comfortable in your circle,
Yeah,
because if that circle around you, if they aren't doing things to empower you, to introduce you to things that could benefit your business, that's like sort of like the blind leading the blind. You got to be that person that says, hey, is this person really motivating me, or are they just expecting me to pump them up? It should be equal on both ends. So I just want us to think about that as we all do the necessary work to put in to see our businesses rise and for them to be all that God would have us to be.
definitely.
All right, our discussion question, and this is something I'm excited about. We started this in February. So, for those who are just viewing the show tonight for the first time, or it's been a while since you viewed it, we do these discussion questions every week to tie in with our topic, to give some of our audience or people in our private fan group. We'll talk about the fan group in a moment, just to give their perspective on the show, and then we allow our guests to close out with their answer. So, as of course, tonight our topic was keep moving. And so this week's discussion question: what motivates you to keep moving forward regardless of the adversity that you may face in your life? So this first question, and shout out to my cousin Mona in Foster's, her response was, my children and grandchildren, if I want them to be God-fearing people that trust the Lord, I must lead by example. That means falling in my imperfection and rising by God's grace.
That's good.
The second one, shout out to my sister Mika. I believe in setting an example as a parent, so I can't teach what I don't know. I keep going no matter what, so that my two will learn from my example, and God gives me strength to grow as I go. Shout out to my sister Monica, my faith and my fears. It takes courage to believe in yourself, especially when your story has a ton of God eraser moments like mine. I look at God's love more than people's disappointment of my past.
That was powerful.
And the last one from Latoya, my faith in God, my kids, my grandkids, and my family. And so if for any reason you were not able to get in on the discussion question this week, if you answer them after the show, like I said, I will make them available where Charmel can go in and respond if she deems necessary, and we can keep the conversation going. So at this time, I'm going to put the discussion question back up, and then live we will hear your response to the discussion question. And so again, it was what motivates you to keep moving forward regardless of the adversities that you may face in your life.
Is that directed to me or are you looking, waiting on somebody to?
Uh,
Charmel.
waiting on you to answer.
Oh, uh, I won't be cliche and say, it's my son. He is definitely my motivator. Um, and I don't want to try to piggyback off, but I just know that there is a group of people waiting on me to succeed.
Mhm.
I may not necessarily know that my name, face, but I know that there's an assignment. So all of us who are in any spiritual level whatsoever, or even if you're not there yet, there is a group of people assigned to you, and they are looking at you on whatever level you are on. So I think about that. I think about it all the time. What am I doing to make sure that my audience, I'm delivering to them? Um, for me, it's almost like I owe that. I'm just not here. And everybody wants purpose. So that is a part of your purpose. Your audience needs you. They're waiting on you. You are the link. And so that presses me because I know there's a responsibility for those that depend on me to get to where they need to be. And I love that. I'm a big legacy girl. So anyway, anytime I know that I've done something that can help somebody along the way and pull them up and watch them shine, hey, it's worth every moment of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then my dad answered, this was our only mail to respond for the week. So I'm going to post this one. His response was, my faith and experience with God. He has done it before, and I know that he can do it again. Absolutely. And I think that's the assurance that we can have no matter where we find in our life. If he's done it before, he can do it again. So,
Yeah.
Charmel, thank you for being a guest tonight. And as absolutely always, I've enjoyed the conversation. And for those who are interested in finding more information about Charmel, that is her website, charmels.com. And you can also find her under Charmels, and she is on Facebook and Instagram.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure. And I still owe you meals and I owe your sister meals. I have not forgotten. I'm back on it now.
It'll happen. It'll happen in time. And for everyone who's watching tonight, we thank you for joining us always. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have some great things happening with Perspective and the show and Divine Vision Entertainment happening in the coming weeks. So you definitely want to make sure that you follow us on all our platforms so you can be kept in the loop. And then our website, divinevisionent.com. And next week, let me go ahead and let this cat out of the bag. Many of you have been saying, when is she coming back? Our guest for next week, Monday, March the 22nd, as we are almost nearing the end of our celebration of Women's History Month, is Belinda George Peoples, actress, songwriter, composer, singer. I can't just say enough about her, retired educator. So we will have a great conversation with her on next week. And next week, we know that you know a lot about her music experience. But next week, we're really going to dive into what Belinda has contributed to the theater company. So you definitely want to tune in for that. And I know several people, they say, well, sometimes we can't go back and watch your show. If you subscribe to the notification links in Divine Vision Entertainment LLC, whenever we, even if it's a post or do a video, you'll always receive those notifications. And I do thank each of you for all of you who tune in every week. I don't take it lightly because you could use your time for something else. And we always try to give you the best shows where we provide not only quality information, but entertainment as well. So thank you for that. So as promised, we have about 6 more minutes to go in the show. And we're going to go ahead and put those dishes up.
I'm interested in this part.
And so with this, because I know people are with this, she's not going to respond to them. This is just so we could highlight some of the dishes that she makes. So let's get started.
Why are you doing it? I keep looking. If everybody's wondering why I'm looking in the bag, because I'm waiting to. My sister's supposed to be cooking, and she's trying to be polite in the pot. I'm like, baby, I need to hear something cooking, boiling or something. Go ahead and start. It's getting late.
And I have to tell you this before we start. Your personality.
Guess who's here? My mom.
Hey, mama.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Good, good. Well, I have to tell you this, Charmel.
What?
Your personality and the way you laugh and joke is so similar to Dorinda Clark Cole. So it is almost scary. So that's why every time we talk, I laugh and talk. But let's go ahead and get these bills up.
Oh,
So the first one is chicken salad.
is that a hint, Ribby? Uh-oh. Was that supposed to say on podcast?
You can say something quick, quick, quick. And
Yeah.
next,
Okay. Look, go keep going.
broccoli cheese
What you
casserole.
got? It's one favorite per family.
And
Oh,
then
I
beef
know.
lasagna.
Shout out to Trail. She is the one that pushed me into vegan, and now I love vegan. Yeah, to the
Awesome.
girls.
And then the last is stuffed bell peppers.
Well, that's funny. Hers. I'm not gonna say this because I don't want anybody to know, but I want you to know hers really tastes better than mine. I make her make me some. I eat her food.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. So again,
Yeah.
we thank everyone for joining tonight. And then just a few announcements. Monday, March the 29th, you definitely want to keep your eyes on the lookout. We have a huge surprise that's our last show of Women's History Month, and that is also the Monday before we start our Resurrection Weekend. So we found a way to combine the two, and you're going to be very surprised. So definitely be on the lookout for that show. So just a few final announcements, and then we will end for the night. As we all are aware, our President Biden doing his address on Thursday, he talked about how the end of March, if not before, every American will be eligible to get the vaccine. Now, we're not using this platform to tell you whether you should or shouldn't get the vaccine. That is a personal decision that you have to make. But I can encourage you to do the vaccine. There's a difference in encouraging and enforcing and in making saying, well, you need to do this. There's a difference. So and please continue to get on those waiting lists. And I just believe that all of us will be able to get those vaccinations in time, because I know many of us are overdue from hugs from our family, our circle of friends, but y'all, is coming. And what I will say as we prepare to move on, once you've gotten those vaccines, y'all, let's not go crazy. If you go around your family members and they've all gotten the vaccine, still kind of limit your activity. Let's continue to wear those masks, because you can still get
Yeah.
the COVID-19 with the vaccination. That's what we're not really taking to heart. Your symptoms won't be as strong as what they're saying, but you can still get the virus. So let's continue to use wisdom once we've been fully vaccinated. And then, as we know, Alabama, April 9th, Governor Ivey has stated that she will not renew the mask ordinance. We thank her for extending it as long as she has. I know that Birmingham and several other cities in Alabama are voting. I think Birmingham City Council is supposed to vote tomorrow. Regardless of however they vote, for your own safety and protection, I encourage you to continue to wear those masks, even if you've been vaccinated or you're waiting on a vaccine, because what we don't want to happen is for the numbers to rise back up, which they could do so. And so we're almost at the end of the finishing line. So let's continue to wash our hands, social distance, and do everything that we can do to keep ourselves safe. And two final announcements: March the 30th, everyone in the city of Birmingham, this is the date for neighborhood elections. This is Tuesday, March the 30th. Tonight by 10 p.m., I will have posted on all avenues the complete listing of all of the officers that are running in the elections for neighborhood in Birmingham. Those who've watched my show, you know we stress the importance of voting in all elections, and neighborhood elections are just as important. So please take the time to read over the information so you can know who you're voting for. Final information: this Wednesday, March the 17th, our local news stations and the Weather Channel have included this as a severe weather day. They are predicting severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. So by 2 p.m., if you could be in a safe place, please be in that safe place. And for families and individuals, we're not speaking any tornadoes, we're not claiming any tornadoes, but I am asking that you kind of have a map out plan. Make sure you know, or where your family knows they need to go in the midst of a tornado, so we can all make sure that we are safe. All right. Those are all of our announcements. And again, thanks to our guest, Charmel, for joining us. And as always, we thank each of you. And as I say each week, keep the faith. Love you all. Have a great night. And we will see you back here next Monday. Same place, time. Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.